name's Barry Eames and I'm from Christchurch, but right now I'm in the North Island of a place called Papamoa, which is just outside Tauranga. I'm actually at Blokart Heaven. This is where the Blokart was designed 10 years ago. This is the 10th anniversary. And we're standing in the middle of the track. There's not much wind, but as you can see there's a few carts circulating there. It's near the end of our first day of racing and the wind's dropped away. So we're here to just find out a bit about the man behind Blokart. I'd like to introduce you to Paul Beckett. Paul is the man behind Blokart. I understand it's his thought, his design. We're standing on probably a property that belongs to Paul. So Paul, how did you come to decide to make a Blokart?
I spent many years, Barry, doing different sports, surfing, hang gliding, what have you, and all of those, essentially all of those sports are really accessible to people, and probably one of the primary things is you put your surfboard in a bag, you even put a hang glider in a bag, which is a 32-foot wingspan machine that packs down, but no one had ever really successfully put a land sail into a bag, and I came up with the Blokart design primarily to be a really convenient, user-friendly, anyone can use a machine. And the fact was that it needed to go into a bag, and for it to go into a bag that was normal package size that you could book onto a plane if we wanted to make the sport global or international. It had to be two things. It had to be small enough for a kid to use, but big enough for an adult to use. And then it had to be able to pack down to go on an aeroplane where it could be used anywhere in the world. That's the only way you could make anything can become a global commodity or a global product.
So you had, right at the inception, you had that in mind? Those were the principles you were building under?
Yes, I sat down on my floor in my office at some ungodly hour of the morning once, and I drew the shape of the floor pan around me that it would accommodate an adult.
Okay. Were you here at this location then?
No, we were based down in Mount Maunganui.
Okay, but there was obviously wind about, was there?
There's always wind at Papamoa and Mount Maunganui.
Okay. So then you got together and you got some bits of steel and you started building.
Yeah.
And I see over there, I see your first prototype.
Yep, the first prototype was pretty dangerous.
But nevertheless, I can see the makings of the Blokart when I look at that. Was the design all yours?
Primarily, yeah. It's just that, well, I was involved in land sailing prior to that, and it was just all of my thoughts about what a land sailor should be. And I've been on the big clunkers and the various size ones that use a trailer and
So when your first cart you built, when you got it going, the wheels were on it, you've got a sail together, what did you do? Did you head down to the beach and try it out?
Yeah, I actually headed across to the local footy field, and the little skinny wheels I had on it weren't any good on that. So I did go down to the beach, and I brought a young guy that I knew, and he came down, and he was one of my first test pilots.
Right. So what happened from there? Did you used on the beach, and you thought, well, this is perhaps a good design. There's merit in proceeding more.
Yeah, and that was in towards the end of 1999, and then we went to we built the first one, and then we built two, assembled one and used it. Thought that wasn't quite where it was at. Then built 10 more of a refined design, and then we went from there to building and using those. Wound up being called Blokarts.
Right. Was that your name?
It was a name of someone coming in and mocking us and said, "What are these?" Because we were in a go-kart shop, and he saw the sail and said, "What is this?" And so the name sort of stuck from there. Lots of different people. Everyone who got on it loved it. You've probably heard about the Blokart grin.
Yes,
and everybody who got on board just loved it, and we thought, something that defines a good product is something that you or me, in this case me, envisage that I would love to have. This is the headquarters of Blokart International, worldwide.
Well, I'm sitting in the very first prototype Blokart. But when I sit in it now, it feels like a Blokart. It's got no seat belt. As you can see, the construction's pretty basic, but nevertheless, here it is. And who would believe that here I am sitting with it? Now, what we need to do is ask Paul a bit about it.
I did my drawings and I took them to him, and he had a pipe bend, and we welded up 2 chassis. And this is the only one that was assembled. I still have another one over in the shed there that was actually never assembled. It's still brand new and it's still in pieces.
Right.
As soon as I put this together and sailed it, I knew it had to be different.
And this one would pack down. I see the
Yep.
axles come out. I see the mast base there is hinged.
Yep.
So, and while it's not like the Blokart as we know it today, I can see that it would come to bits.
Yeah, it does come to bits. The actual shape of the floor pan, the actual bottom chassis rail and what have you, is identical to the current production Blokart today. Which this isn't a production sail, this is a sail that I actually built in my garage. I took the whole design to a sailmaker, and that was what he interpreted from my drawings, and I told him no, this is what I wanted, and I sort of got a bit frustrated, so I went and bought a sewing machine and made what I wanted. So the primary difference between that one and this one was that we went to a thicker mast base to carry a heavier mast. We put a footrest, a foot bar on it, so you could actually push and brace yourself in the Blokart. And then it's got a tiller system here. And whereas the tiller was straight on that, it made the steering very direct. So what I did, I put a crank in the tiller here, so that the steering went through this arc down here, and actually made it just much more predictable. And of course the main other improvisation was the seat belt. And we went from a plug-in seat back to a hinge seat back, because as you know, if you've got 2 parallel things that you need to plug in, they always get jammed one way or the other. You can never quite plug it in properly. The false thinking behind the pulley whip was that if we put an extension on the pulley whip, the sheet wouldn't get tangled around the pulley, where in fact it actually made matters worse. So from the pre-production Blokarts, Barry, we came to the production Blokart down here, and as you see, it's now got a round keel tube, and the keel is actually plugging in to the actual Blokart itself. So this whole front end used to come off on this one and unhook there. The struts could remain connected, and the whole front end would swing back into here, and the struts would drop down. So, which was a good idea, but it didn't actually work in practice that well. And it was a bit clunky and just wasn't really a product. It was still an idea, pardon me. But then from this here, it looks complete, it looks finished. It's more aesthetically pleasing, and it's actually, it's at this point that we thought we had a product. The only things that have changed on the Blokart in the whole time, from the first production one that was released in June of 2000 to the 2010 model, the only thing that has changed is the way the seat back clamps back. We used to use clamps, and then we went to a cam lock, and now in the production one we've gone to a spring button assembly. And the only difference from the original ones to the production one today is that, and the fact that this is a fabricated fork, in other words welded bent steel, and that's a forged fork.
Right. Did you ever envisage that they would do the kind of speeds and performance that they do today?
No.
What did you think?
In a word, no.
what did you think? That'd be a fun thing for people to have to
well,
race around the beach, perhaps on a track. But
it was a dad, and that first thing was something for Dad and the kids to burn around the local parking lot at say 20 or 30 km.
Right.
As soon as we got into this model, it was dangerous doing 20 or 30 km an hour on that first one.
Right.
Then we got guys were doing 40 or 50 km an hour on this one, and then you got 3 or 4 or more of them. We were having a bit of fun, and we had to make them better. The original ones had plastic seat belts and what have you.
Yes.
So then by the time we got to this one, we guys are doing 60 km an hour, and we're thinking, oh, we're getting a little bit serious now. But now, of course, with the new Blokarts and the new range of sails, they're doing 90 and the record's over 100 km an hour. So.
Right. Well, I'm in heaven now. I'm in the factory. I'm surrounded by Blokart parts. I'm surrounded with tools, equipment. It looks pretty good to me.
Yep.
So I think you've got a pretty good setup here, Paul.
Thanks, Barry.
So tell us what happens here.
Okay, well this is where the unborn Blokarts are.
Right.
Okay, so what we've got here is a whole raft of chassis, and they come into us from the fabricator on these racks. The stainless steel ones are there, and the powder coated carts. There's some powder coated components here, but they all come into us on these racks.
So they come in the actual racks. You roll
Yep.
them out of a container or something, and here they are.
Yep. We roll them off the trailer or off the back of the truck and roll them in here,
Right.
and they come to us on these racks, which are ours, which we've designed.
How many people do you have here working on assembling carts and stuff like
Well,
that?
we've got four guys in here if we're busy, 3 normally, and then we've got 4 management and administration and marketing staff.
Okay, is this where we do the assembly, Paul, is it?
This is the assembly here, Barry.
Right.
Every Blokart consists of about 300 parts, and so this is where the parts come together here.
Okay.
And this is one of the sub-assembly areas, and this is the sub-assembly area for doing mast bases. So the fabricated mast comes to us like that, and we use that jig there and the overhead equipment to assemble that mast to that stage there.
Right.
And that's called a sub-assembly.
Yeah. So you've got all air tools, you've got
Yep.
I see a drill, you've got
Yep.
probably a riveter, I imagine,
That's right.
because they're pretty big and powerful rivets, those two that hold the downhaul.
Yep, they do. They are. They're stainless steel, and then they come into here. That comes off the rack. These here have been fitted out, but to actually assemble them onto the rack, that's where the Blokart starts its life, to get the seat and that put on. That gets clamped there, and this here enables you to work on both sides of the Blokart, rivet it all off, and all your drillings and swarf goes down into that little chute there. That comes back, clicks on, all the bits and pieces, the stickers and that all go on at this stage. Then they go on to the assembly line, and from there the Blokart's assembled up, so the operator will put together 5 chassis, and they'll go down the line to this point.
That's a pretty nifty jig you've got there.
Yep.
You've put a lot of time into getting the efficiency out of your assembly.
We've tried to, because if we muck around, it just makes them dearer.
Yes. Yeah.
Or we make less, or we shut down.
You can't have that. So then they're moving down here.
Yep, they move down the line,
Yep.
and there are other sub-assemblies that have been made. So we've got, here's a sub-assembly rack of keels
Right.
and front wheels, and they're all built over here on this rack here. More drilling jigs and things like that. And then the Blokarts move on down, and as they move on down the line, they get the tiller bars added to them. They've got the foot bars there, the seat backs added to them. So what happens, they move down the assembly line, and by the time they get to here, they're fully built up. The bag goes into the box, then the Blokart is disassembled back into the bag.
Right.
So every Blokart is fully assembled,
Yep.
then disassembled into the bag. The lid goes on, and it gets strapped, and from there it goes onto a pallet if it's going to be exported or to the courier or into stock. Yeah, well, you can see we've got quite a few masts in stock, and we've got to get our stock built up. If we've got a container coming, and for a export container going to Europe, they'll take 150 Blokarts or so. So we've got to have 150 masts and 150 sails and all of those things on hand, fully built, ready to go.
So are the masts, are they made in New Zealand?
Yep, the masts are made by Kilwell Fibre Tube in Rotorua.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure whether this is the end or not, but for meantime it is, and I'd just like to say thanks, Paul.
No worries, you're welcome.
I know a lot more now than I did an hour back, so it was great.
You're welcome.
Thank you.